It started with a sound that didn't belong. Hammering. Sawing. The heavy thunk-thunk of machinery echoing through the trees. Before we dive in, comment which country you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more real stories just like this one. On most mornings, East Magnolia County was silent. Just the wind whispering through pine needles, the birds waking with the sun, and the slow creak of the porch as Raymond Cole rocked in his old wooden chair. It was peace, earned peace. He took a long sip from his chipped mug, steam curling against the chill. The air smelled of dew and pine sap, the kind of scent that reminded him this land had been his family's heartbeat for generations. 200 acres. Fenced, mapped, and protected since 1978. He knew every inch like the lines on his palm. But that morning, something was wrong. When he turned his head toward the ridge, he caught a flash of yellow through the trees. Bright, moving. Then came the sound again, the growl of an engine, sharper this time. He frowned, setting the mug down and walking to the edge of his porch. Beyond the split-rail fence, where the grass sloped down toward the creek, a wall of dust hung over the field. And inside that haze, trucks. Bulldozers. Men in neon vests shouting orders. The air was thick with diesel and sawdust, the sound of heavy equipment biting into the earth. Raymond's brow furrowed. What the hell? He grabbed his jacket, slid his boots on, and climbed into his old Ford pickup, the same one his father had taught him to drive in. Gravel crunched beneath the tires as he rolled down the dirt path. His mind raced with questions. Roadwork? Utility expansion? Maybe county maintenance? But when he got closer, he saw the truth. This wasn't roadwork. This was construction. Concrete foundations already being poured. Wooden stakes lined up in perfect rows. And towering over the operation, clipboard in hand, was a woman in a spotless white suit. Not a speck of dirt on her. Sunglasses mirrored the chaos around her. Her voice carried above the machines. Sharp, commanding, practiced. She wasn't just running a crew. She was running the show. Raymond parked beside the dirt road, stepped out and walked toward her, boots sinking into fresh-turned soil. "Morning," he said, his tone polite but wary. "Mind telling me what's going on here?" The woman barely turned. "We're breaking ground on Phase 2 of Magnolia Springs Estates," she said briskly, flipping through her papers. Then she smiled, that kind of polished, dismissive smile you see in real estate ads. "You must be the previous landowner." "Don't worry, sir, the HOA's taken care of everything." Raymond's stomach twisted. "Previous landowner?" he repeated slowly. "Lady, this land hasn't been sold. I own every inch of it, up to the creek line." She laughed. A short, dry laugh that made his blood run cold. "That's impossible. We've got deeds, permits, and full county approval. Maybe you should talk to your lawyer." Her tone, so smug, so certain, hit him like a slap. Something deep in his gut told him she wasn't confused. She was lying. Her name tag caught the sun. Karen Whitfield, HOA president. That night, long after the workers left, Raymond sat at his old oak desk inside the farmhouse. The lamp buzzed quietly as he pulled out folders. Every deed, every title, every map. The paper smelled of dust and time. His father's handwriting marked the boundaries, the creek, the ridge line, all of it. And there it was, clear as daylight. The original deed from 1978. Signed. Stamped. Recorded. His land. He exhaled slowly, setting the papers down. Out the window, the bulldozers were still parked along his fence, silhouettes in the moonlight. And that's when Raymond made a silent promise to himself. If they thought they could steal his family's legacy, they were about to learn just how wrong they were. The next morning, Jeremiah didn't sleep. His heart pounded like a drum that refused to quiet down. He drove to the county office at sunrise, a folder of deeds, titles, and coordinates tucked under his arm. The clerk, a tired man in glasses, scrolled through the county map on his computer. Looks like those permits were filed by the Lakeview HOA Development Committee," he said. "A woman named Karen Whitfield." Jeremiah blinked. Karen Whitfield. He knew that name. Everyone in the area did. She was the self-proclaimed president of every street she set foot on, the kind of person who left notes on people's doors about grass height, color of mailboxes, and unapproved fences. Jeremiah clenched his jaw. She's building on my land. The clerk hesitated. Looks that way, sir. According to this file, she submitted documentation showing the land was vacant. Vacant. Jeremiah's voice rose, shaking. My grandfather's ashes are buried there. There's a sign, a gate, and my name carved on the post. The clerk lowered his voice. You should talk to the county surveyor. And maybe a lawyer. By noon, Jeremiah was back on the property line, and what he saw made his stomach twist. A team of workers in neon vests and hard hats were driving stakes into the dirt. Bulldozers lined the horizon like an invading army. A huge banner hung across the entrance. Coming soon. Lakeview Luxury Homes. Starting at $799,000. And right there in the middle of it all, clipboard in hand, was Karen Whitfield. Crisp white blouse, sunglasses, and that smug little smile that could curdle milk. Jeremiah parked his truck and walked straight toward her. The workers stopped, sensing tension in the air. Excuse me, he said, steady but cold. You're on private property. Karen turned, her eyes narrowing like she'd just been inconvenienced. Oh, you must be one of the locals. Don't worry, sir, the HOA has everything under control. Jeremiah's jaw tightened. The HOA doesn't control my land. Karen tilted her head. Oh, I think you're mistaken. This lot was declared open for development months ago. We've already pre-sold 22 homes. He pulled out his deed and unfolded it, holding it up. This paper says otherwise. Jeremiah Coleman, legal owner of Parcel 42B since 1998. Karen barely glanced at it. That can't be right. We got approval from the county office. The county doesn't own it. I do. The air went still. Even the workers hesitated, shuffling uneasily. A young man holding blueprints whispered, Ms. Whitfield, maybe we should double-check. Karen snapped. No one moves a thing until I say so. She turned back to Jeremiah, her voice dripping arrogance. Sir, if you're trying to intimidate me, it won't work. The HOA's legal team is already handling everything. If you really owned this land, someone would have told us. Jeremiah stared at her for a long, hard second. I'm telling you now. Karen scoffed, crossing her arms. Well, I'm afraid it's too late. The contracts are signed, the money's been wired, and construction is underway. If you think you can stop progress, good luck. Her words stung, not because of arrogance, but because of the pure disregard in her tone. Jeremiah took a step closer. I don't need luck, lady. I've got the law. Karen laughed, loud and dismissive. Oh, you people always say that. The crowd of workers went silent. A few even looked down. Jeremiah didn't shout. He didn't curse. He just nodded, slow and deliberate. Then we'll see what you people say when the sheriff comes. He turned, climbed into his truck and drove off, the sound of his engine echoing across the valley like a promise. Karen stood there, fuming, but deep down, a flicker of doubt crept across her face. Because in that moment, for the first time, she realized the man she just dismissed might not be bluffing. 2 days later, the silence of the valley shattered again. But this time, it wasn't bulldozers. It was engines, heavy boots, and the low rumble of county trucks. Karen Whitfield strutted across the half-built construction site, barking orders. Let's get those foundations poured today. And someone move that truck. It's blocking my view. But when she turned toward the road, she froze. 3 county vehicles were pulling in, dust swirling behind them. At the front of the convoy was a black pickup, Jeremiah's. He stepped out calmly, wearing a brown leather jacket and a look that said everything. Behind him, 2 sheriff's deputies and the county surveyor followed. Karen's voice cracked. What is this? Jeremiah didn't answer. He let the officials do the talking. The surveyor unfolded a large map across the hood of his truck. According to county records and GPS confirmation, he said loudly so the workers could hear, this entire construction site, from Lot 1 through Lot 98, sits squarely on private land owned by Mr. Jeremiah Coleman. Gasps rippled through the crew. A few dropped their tools. One even took a step back toward his truck. Karen's face went pale. That's impossible. The HOA purchased this land through proper channels. We had approval from. From you, the sheriff interrupted, his tone sharp. We checked those channels. Turns out you filed fraudulent documents claiming this land was abandoned. You even used a fake signature from the zoning board. Karen's mouth opened, but no sound came out. The sheriff continued, "Ma'am, that's forgery, trespassing, and unlawful development on private property." The crowd murmured louder. Cameras came out. Workers began recording, whispering things like, "She's done for." Jeremiah stayed quiet. He didn't need to say a word. Karen tried to compose herself. "Wait. No, this must be a misunderstanding. I was told this was community property." Jeremiah finally spoke. His voice was calm, almost too calm. "Community property? My grandfather fenced this land in 1962. I've been paying taxes on it for 27 years. There's nothing community about it." She stepped toward him, desperate now. "Please, Jeremiah, if we just sort this out privately." The sheriff raised a hand. "Ma'am, step back. You're not negotiating your way out of this." Then came the words that ended it all. "Karen Whitfield, you're under arrest for property fraud, forgery, and unauthorized construction." The sound of the cuffs clicking was louder than any bulldozer. The workers stared as deputies led her away, still sputtering excuses, still insisting she did it for the neighborhood. Jeremiah watched in silence, the wind brushing through the tall grass his grandfather once planted. He finally turned to the foreman and said quietly, "You can leave the machines. I'll take care of them." One by one, the trucks rolled out, leaving tire tracks that faded into dust. The banners were torn down. The valley returned to silence. Weeks later, the county restored his title deed officially, with a public apology for the oversight. Karen faced multiple charges, and when the story hit local news, she became the symbol of greed and arrogance gone too far. Jeremiah didn't celebrate. He rebuilt the gate, repainted the sign, and planted a single oak tree right in the center of what was once Lot 1. He said quietly to the camera crew covering the story, "This land was never for sale. Not for money. Not for pride. It's for legacy." Before leaving, he looked back one last time, the sunset catching the wooden post where his grandfather's name was still carved deep into the grain. Justice didn't always come fast, but this time it came loud and clear. And that's the story of how one man defended his family's legacy from greed and lies. If you believe truth always wins in the end, hit that like button, and tell me in the comments which country you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe for more real stories of justice, courage, and karma.